Welcome to Down to Earth Mama. Stay tuned. Hi YouTube, welcome back to another video. This is Crystal, and this is the Down to Earth Mama. So today I wanted to do a little discussion about how I raise my daughter vegan and what it's like to raise a vegan kid. So I actually had, well, it was more of a vegetarian pregnancy, but mostly vegan pregnancy. And the doctors had no issues talking to me about my diet at all. They didn't say a word about it. Actually, the one thing they did say was, oh, you're a vegetarian? Okay, so I don't have to have the seafood talk with you or the lunch meat talk with you. And I was like, oh, what's bad about seafood? What's bad about lunch meat? You know, so this was years ago. This was like 5 years ago. And so it was like, well, I mean, that's a good thing. I don't have to worry about that stuff. And so they did do some of my blood work. I didn't have the diabetes or anything like that, but I did have some anemia, just slight anemia, and the doctor just gave me a list of foods to eat. That was it. He didn't tell me to take a supplement or anything. And on the list was, you know, just increasing my beans. That was pretty much it. So that's all I did, was just eat a few extra beans. I didn't have any problems. So I did try to breastfeed as much as I could, and I wasn't really quite producing the milk that I wanted, and I was trying all the supplements and everything. But I did, so I pumped what I could, and I tried to breastfeed what I could, and then I just supplemented with some soy-based formula. So they did make vegan formula, soy-based formula, so I used that. They actually gave me that at the hospital to use for her because they needed to get her I don't know, her iron levels up or something like that, like, because she was in the NICU. So that was wonderful that they had soy-based formula and everything. And I even, when I started taking her to daycare, they also had the option of soy-based formula, you know, when they gave me to make for her bottles to send in. So that was easy. And also because at first I was a single mother when I first started, I got, long story short, but I got ditched 3 months pregnant, so I didn't have any help. So I did have to go back to work after 8 weeks off, and I did have to get on some government assistance programs, so I did get on the WIC program, and I let them know that I was a vegetarian, and they gave me a vegetarian package. So the vegetarian package I got through the WIC program gave me tons of tofu, tons of soy milk, more than I could handle. The only thing that I didn't like was that you only got a $10 voucher for fresh fruits and vegetables. $10 for a month. That didn't cut it. But I did get for breads and cereals and things like that, and I had no problem finding vegan options for all that stuff. And actually, I had so much tofu and soy milk, like I had a stack in my cabinets so big, and I had to freeze some of the tofu. And that's how I actually discovered that if you freeze silken tofu and then you thaw it back out again, it changes texture to like a chicken-like texture when you pull it apart. It was really interesting. So that's how I discovered that, because I had so much tofu that WIC gave me. And I was also on food stamps, which I also had no problem buying, so I just supplemented that. Since WIC didn't give me much for fruits and vegetables, I used my food stamps to mostly do that. Rice and beans and things like that. I had no problem getting more than enough food with government assistance. So being lower income and only having one income, being a single mother, I had no problems whatsoever affording a vegan diet for me in order to breastfeed and feed my child, because WIC also gave me formula too, and I could get soy formula on that. Yes, Corlin. So, I was unable to be a stay-at-home mom, obviously, so I had to start sending her to daycare at about 4 months old. My mom tried to watch her, and it got to be too much for her because she has a lot of health problems. And so I had to start sending my daughter to daycare at 4 months old. And I did get government assistance for that, so I got CCIS for that as well. So I only had a copay. So there are lots of programs out there for single mothers to supplement and take care of their kids. So, like I said, the daycare gave us soy formula, so that was great, and I was able to send in soy formula bottles and breast milk bottles, so that wasn't a problem. And then when she did get older and she started eating solids, like I said, I got a ton of baby food in the jars too through WIC, like so much, like 48 jars a month or something, and I was all fruits and vegetables, and I got like the rice cereals and the oat cereals and things like that. Okay. So yeah, so she started eating the solids, and you know, I sent in the baby food jars that I had, and they had plenty of green beans and peas and the carrots and all vegetables, so they were fine not giving her any of the meat baby food jars. Then she started eating more people food, and they were perfectly okay at the daycare that I was at to just feed her the plant foods. When they would bring in the lunches, they would just give her the sides and maybe some beans or something like that. They were okay with that. They started getting veggie burgers in for her, which was awesome. So she loves the veggie burgers. She got so in love with the veggie burgers. They would give her cheeseless pizza. They still do that now even. And I stayed in the same, it's a chain daycare, and I stayed in the same chain, but I moved locations when we moved houses from one town to another, and it was still the same. No issues whatsoever. Like I said, they're a chain daycare, so they're all over. They run on the state government food program, because I even offered to pack her lunches and send them, and they said, no, we can't do that because we have to provide for everybody in order to get our food funding. So I was like, okay, great. So they have no problem. You know, they were asking me for ideas of things that I can get, and actually the daycare that she's at now has, like, they do meatless Mondays, vegetarian Mondays, and things like that, so she'll be able to get things during those. And they do let me send in some chow cheese or Violife cheese, and they'll make her grilled cheeses and cheese quesadillas and things like that. They said they'll give her cheeseless pizza. They'll just pull the cheese off before they cook it, and so it works really well. And sometimes they'll do like a veggie lo mein, or they'll do, you know, fiesta rice and beans, and she'll get that, and she'll get bean burritos and all kinds of stuff. So the daycare really has had no problem accommodating our vegan lifestyle. Like, I've sent in almond milk yogurt, soy yogurts, and things like that for her. I've sent in also some applesauces and fruit cups in order to replace, you know, when they have like cheese cube snacks and stuff like that. And I've even sent in some Just Ranch, so like when they have salads, she can have some ranch dressing. So no problems. My daycare has been amazing, and I love them, and I would recommend KinderCare to everybody if you have it in your area. Do we supplement with vitamins? I supplement with one vitamin, and that's the B12, and we do it maybe once or twice a week. And let me show you that. So we use this. It's the sublingual. You just put it under your tongue, and she actually sometimes will say, Mommy, can we take our vitamins? Can we take our vitamins? Because she likes the flavor of this. So we do this once or twice a week, under the tongue, that's it. Because from what I understand, B12 will store in your system for quite a while. So, and I take the full thing, and I only give her about half. So we take our B12. Everything else, she eats plenty of fruits, plenty of vegetables, she eats plenty of beans, and she eats plenty of grains. So I don't really see that she gets tons of sunshine because she goes outside to play at school twice a day if it's nice out. What was great was she just had her 4-year well visit, and the doctor wanted to do her blood work to test for lead and her iron levels because we're vegan, you know. So he was curious to see what her iron levels would be, and then when I got the call back from the doctor, or the nurse called back, and she told me, she's like, we got her labs back, her blood work is beautiful. They said everything was perfect, right where it should be. And I was like, hallelujah, because I was a little worried. I didn't want her to have like low iron levels and be like, oh gosh, you know, maybe this isn't the right diet. But we've had no issues, and she gets picky sometimes. Some days she doesn't eat as much as, you know, I'd like her to. Other days she doesn't stop eating, you know, so she has those ups and downs. And perfectly healthy. Blood work came back great. We don't supplement with anything. She just gets a good variety of food. And I'm super happy. So here's proof that, you know, hey, here's a little girl who's never eaten meat a day in her life. She's over 4, and she's so spectacularly healthy. And she's incredibly smart too, because her teachers at her school, she's in pre-K actually, and they said that she's like the youngest in the class. She is the youngest in the class, but they say that she's so far ahead of the other kids. Well, one, because I work with her and we do flashcards and I practice in the car while we're driving and things like that. I read to her every night. I have her help pick out sight words, stuff like that. But they say that if there's other kids that are struggling when they do like their classwork, they will pair her with the other kids so that she can help teach them and guide them along, because she's so smart, because she's so far ahead of the other ones. And then the bad thing is that her birthday's in November, so she's not going to get to go to kindergarten in the fall. She's going to have to wait a whole extra year. But I'm hoping that I'm going to have her fully reading by then, and when she starts kindergarten, she's just going to be so far ahead of everybody. So she's incredibly smart, so not eating meat hasn't affected her intelligence ability whatsoever. And her immune system, let me get to her immune system. At first, when she first started going to daycare, she caught everything, and then I caught everything. But now that she's been there for a while, she doesn't really get sick anymore. Like, her last big sickness, this is February, her last big illness was Easter back in April, and she did have the flu, but all she really got was a fever. That was it. Just fever. We put her on some, was it the Tamiflu, and it was gone in like 2 days, and then we just didn't even have to continue with the Tamiflu. So like, that's all she really gets. Like, I think it was 2 weeks ago she did have a fever, just a slight fever. I think the highest it got was 102.6, but I gave her Tylenol. She was fine. She was running around, but she just couldn't go to school for those 2 days. And that was it. It was just a fever. She complained her head hurt. And then there's nothing else. She didn't say anything else hurt. And then the following week I got a paper that said that there was a kid in her class that had scarlet fever. And I was like, oh my gosh. I don't know if maybe she just had a touch of scarlet fever or what, but she just had a fever with no other symptoms. And then it just, poof, went away all by itself. So, I mean, her immune system seems to really be strong and fight off whatever she gets, because all she gets is a slight fever. That's it. Sometimes she'll get the sniffles or a cough, but it never really develops into anything that I've had to take her to the doctor for. She hasn't been on antibiotics in like a year. And, you know, maybe like her last ear infection, and it's, you know, for a 4-year-old to not have to go to the doctor for being sick is, I think, amazing, considering that she's in daycare all day with snotty-nosed kids. And her immune system has built up so wonderful that she just gets a little small fever for a day or two, and then poof, it's gone, and she's healthy again. And, you know, I introduce her to lots of vegetables, and she loves vegetables. She does. Sometimes she will even ask me, Mommy, can I have broccoli? Mommy, can I have corn? Mommy, can I have fruit? You know, Mommy, can I have cauliflower? She will ask me for specific vegetables and fruits, and I love it. Sometimes she will just sit there and she will eat 5 of those little cutie oranges, and she'll just eat them one right after the other, 5 or 6 of them. And hey, cool, get your vitamin C. I'm alright with that. As long as it's not candy, junk food. She doesn't even really like junk food or candy, honestly. Like, you know, I might give her, my mom made her some chocolate for Valentine's Day, and she was eating some of it last night, and she ate about half of it, and then she's like, Mommy, I don't want the rest of this. Thank you. So I'm hoping that, you know, I am starting her off right with healthy habits now, and that when she gets older, she's not going to have weight issues. She's going to be super healthy. She's going to be just an amazing grown-up, and I'm looking forward to seeing how she develops. One last thing, I do want to show you some of the books that I read with her at night. We did get a bunch of vegan books to help her, you know, just identify something to have that she, you know, to relate to. So one of my favorites is this V is for Vegan. I absolutely adore this book. I recommend it to read with your kids. Not only does it help them learn the alphabet, but they learn why being vegan is good. And this one I kind of read in parts because it's a little bit long and it's a little bit much to handle, but I like this one as well. That's Why We Don't Eat Animals book. Some of the images are a little sad, but that's why I'll read like one little section at a time to her, but she does recognize the sad animals from the happy animals, and this is why we don't eat animals that live on farms like that. So I think that's a great book. My fiance, who is totally not vegan, if you see, you know, I have that video of living with a non-vegan partner, but he bought this book for her because I thought it would be a cool book, and he actually just bought it without even telling me, and it came in the mail. And I was so happy about it. So it's cool to be vegan, and we love reading this so that way that she knows that she's not weird or unusual, and that it's cool. And this is not a specifically vegan book, but it is I Am Jane Goodall. And I love this, and I like the message that it portrays. One, you know, to empower women, and two, because it explains about how animals are just like us, and we have so much in common with animals, and I love this book. I recommend you get this one to read to your kids. It's wonderful because Jane Goodall is one of my heroes, and I love her. And the last one, I think it's great to try to find books that have their favorite characters. So like this book says, Happy to Be Healthy. And what I love about this is that it tells them, you know, eating healthy is cool. You should eat lots of fruits and vegetables. So, I mean, identifying being healthy from their favorite cartoon characters. Thank you so much for watching the Down to Earth Mama. Please subscribe to our channel for updates on all our latest videos. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it or found it useful. Leave any questions or comments that you have down below. Things you like, things you didn't like, and things you'd like to see in the future. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace out. Go ahead.
This was so wicked. And it tasted so good. So, want to do Wreck-It Ralph and Penelope? Mommy, can you go get Wreck-It Ralph and Penelope? Because I want to see it.
Oh, they're upstairs, honey.